Welcome to Psychic Bent. My name is Carrie.
And I'm Kim. We are two sisters wanting to help other psychics learn and grow in their abilities and to help educate about spirits, angels, and everything psychic. Welcome back, listeners, to Psychic Bent. We hope you enjoyed our last episode. So this episode, we are going to just have a conversation / recap on Claire's empaths, psychic abilities, just a discussion on how we're doing on that. So, Carrie, would you like to start us off?
Absolutely. I think this time of year, during the holiday season, it's so easy as an empath, whether you're grounded or ungrounded, to get overwhelmed with emotions, feelings. I mean, going to Walmart, I was just talking to Kim about making my list and checking it twice because I'm not going back to Walmart till after Christmas. So, it's so easy to get caught up in the stress of the season, stress of everything, and being an empath, you're going to get overstimulated.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I thought we should have a slight revisit to being an empath, especially this time of year during a holiday season. It can get overwhelming. I mean, Kim went Black Friday shopping. I thought, are you crazy? But were you overwhelmed?
I eventually did get very overwhelmed, but I was very proud of myself. Was able to get most of it done before I had the typical meltdown.
Are you still hiding in the Depends aisle?
No, I was with my husband, so I couldn't hide anywhere.
Couldn't go hide. Okay. But you can only see, even when you're grounded, you can only be grounded for so long before it gets exhausting.
Oh, yeah, because the emotions were just so strong, so thick. Rushing around, trying to make certain you've got everybody on your list, or you want to get that parking spot, or they need to hurry up and get in there so they can get this, that, and the other done, so they can go do whatever they need to do afterwards. And there's a lot of different emotions flowing, so it gets pretty heavy then.
Yeah, and when you think about it, Christmas time can mean something different, and anybody. Like, I mean, you could be missing a loved one, and Christmas is sad for you, or you're alone at Christmas and it's sad, and you're out shopping and things like that. And as an empath, what are you getting? That person's emotions. You're overwhelmed with sadness.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got someone who's angry because they're shopping at Christmas time, and then you're getting that emotion, and it's just really chaotic. It's really difficult to maintain. It affects us all. It doesn't matter how grounded a psychic you are. This time of year can be, very crazy, especially if you have a family life that is a roller coaster ride.
Oh, definitely. Yep.
So I think it's important that we kind of, point the obvious out here about trying to use mindfulness this time of year, trying to identify, is this my energy or someone else's? And then what grounding practice works best for you. I mean, I know I prefer the bubble, the light bubble, visualizing bright light coming down, surrounding me, making a big bubble to keep others' emotions out.
Mm-hmm.
That works for me pretty good. What do you use, Kim?
Oh, I definitely use the bubble as well. I try to make mine as shiny and reflective as possible so it goes away from me.
So you're bouncing people off you?
Yep. Wide berth. They give me a wide berth that way.
Yeah. Here comes big bubble, let her through.
That's right. Yeah, but I find that works. But then it slowly gets smaller and smaller as the exposure grows or continues to happen around me. So yeah, definitely.
And then you have to stop and identify that's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a slow process and you don't realize.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're feeling overwhelmed, and you messaged me and I'm like, oh, here we go. she's still shopping.
I went for a long time before what I consider a long time shopping before I messaged you, because I hate shopping anyway. That's just not one of my favorite things to do. But I lasted a while.
You did. When I worked retail, of course, I had to work Black Friday, and that was my saying, was the only reason I'm here today is I'm getting paid to be here today. Otherwise, I would not be anywhere near a mall. No. And to this day, if I do Black Friday shopping, it would usually consist of me and Dad going out probably about 3 or 4 in the afternoon and see what's left at Walmart. That would be the extent of Black Friday. There were no crowds.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay.
Well, this year we had the added emotions of a winter storm coming for Saturday the next day. So, of course,
Mm.
everybody was doing their frantic, oh my gosh, we've got to get bread and milk and eggs for the storm coming kind of
So
mentality.
so everybody got French toast the next morning.
Exactly.
That always kills me because it's like, if the power goes out, what are you going to do with the milk and eggs?
Right?
It's like, and sometimes the power goes out, It's like,
Exactly.
okay, you got your milk and eggs.
Well, luckily with the winter storm, though, you could set the milk outside and let it stay cool.
That's true.
But I can't explain the
Possibly
eggs.
freeze. Possibly freeze.
Possibly.
So, we're talking about being, empath, out shopping. But, I mean, what if you're clairsentient and out shopping? Because, that Claire is coming through in feelings.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so, again, here you are in a chaotic shopping experience, or even going to Christmas dinner at a family function.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If you're clairsentient, you're the empath, because obviously you are. With being clairsentient, you're really kind of amping up what you're getting, don't you think?
I do.
With
I
the
do.
combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not only are you doing your empath thing, but now you're doing your clairsentient thing, and it can be quite overwhelming, especially at a work party.
Yeah, definitely at a work party, yeah. Or even a double weekend, meaning that some people still celebrate their Thanksgiving that very first weekend afterwards, or after Black Friday or whatever, and then they have to go to a Christmas party, company Christmas party too, So there's all kinds of extra loaded emotions.
And I think that especially this time of year, it gets it seems like we were just in June and now we're almost at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So this time of year goes very fast. The month of December just blows by because we're so busy. And I think it's real important to focus on some self-care during this period as well, and that it's not selfish to do self-care.
Right. I agree. Yep.
And I really think you have to do your psychic baths / showers more frequently.
Mm-hmm.
Might need to try to schedule in a 10-15 minute meditation more than what you would normally do, just to, because like if you've gone to Walmart and you just made it out alive,
Yeah.
and that's how it feels sometimes.
Yeah.
You get in your car and you're like, you have to go, and you're going to the next stop. I gotta go to the grocery store. I gotta go do this now, and you're working around your 2 days off trying to get everything done, and like, it's chaotic. Take 15 minutes, sit in your car, and meditate before you go to your next stop.
Well, I recommend adding to that to leave that store, find an empty spot in a bigger parking lot, and do that. Don't stay right there because, man, the chaos in that kind of a parking lot, you would still pick up and maybe not be able to totally
Yeah.
block out the emotions and such because people
Or
get
the
very
person honking behind you that wants you to move.
right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
Yeah.
find a place that's not super crowded where you can actually isolate yourself and then meditate in the car before you go to the
Right.
next adventure. So
Yes. And there's nothing wrong with it once you've identified that, okay, I'm in Walmart now, and oh my gosh, these aren't my feelings, and you release it.
mm-hmm,
You can do that too.
mm-hmm.
But you have to release everything in the emotion. So when you're doing that meditation, you want to set the intention that you are releasing all emotions that are not yours that you picked up, and emotions that were yours that are stressing you out.
Yes, definitely.
So I think that's really, really important. As an empath, you get overstimulated.
Yep.
And that's just par for the course.
Yeah. And besides the emotions and feelings, the clairsentience, if you haven't put up a good block around yourself or whatever, you tend to also get the psychic readings starting to happen
Oh,
in
yes.
public, and you're never going to identify and be able to give that person, even a reading or whatever, because you can't really go right to that person. You know what I'm saying? There's just too many people
Right.
around.
Right.
So, you're picking up on all of that as well, and that's really not the time or place to really have something like that when it is that chaotic of an environment.
Unless spirit's being pushy.
Unless they're being pushy, and yeah.
Yes. Yes, I did a psychic reading the other night that was not planned. And they didn't, they didn't ask for it. It just kind of, it was just like they were being pushy.
Mhm.
you know, it's,
Mhm.
you know, and the person needed that reading, and they knew I'm psychic, but to them, they just doesn't. I don't think they really know and encompass what that means,
Right.
because a lot of people don't really think about it. You tell someone you're psychic and they think of Marie Laveau or something. I don't know. It's just like, me walking around with a magic 8 ball, shaking it and answering questions. And because there's different types of psychics too,
Mhm.
that I think that most people don't ask questions.
Yeah.
When I told this particular person that I was psychic, because, if someone's very close to me, they need to know that, because things like what happened will happen. Sometimes things just pop out that a psychic hit, I said it, okay, and move on. And then they look at you like, what did you just do? And they told me as long as I wasn't psycho, they didn't care. Okay, all right then. But, being empath, psychic, clairvoyant, clairsentient, whatever or all of the above, whatever, your clairs as you work on them, this holiday season or any holiday season can be pretty stressful.
Yeah.
So we just hope that we're putting some things in place to help people with not getting so stressed out being an empath. And I know that we get stressed out, like Kim on Black Friday. I thought she was crazy. What are you doing out there? I pictured her in the Depends aisle hiding with her shopping cart.
Yep. Nope. Didn't make it to there. I was able to control it most of the way.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but then there was a couple of stores that we entered the parking lot, and I was like, no, I don't want to go in there. I'm not going in there today. Nope. Nope. Too much. Just by entering the parking lot.
That happened to me at Walmart the other day. We're at work. The company is having a big Christmas contest where your department, if they want to enter, you decorate. It's traditional Christmas is the theme, and so we're decorating, and everybody was really coming together and being excited, and we were decorating our department, and the rival department was coming over, going to kind of thing, So we're like, ha. So I'm like, I'm going to go to Walmart and I'm going to go pick this up and add to the display. And I got to the parking lot and drove around the parking lot and drove right on out of the parking lot. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. It's like I was so excited, and then it was like, I do not like what I'm feeling here.
Yeah. Yeah. That happened. So we just didn't go there.
Yes,
And I don't know why, but I had a feeling it was possibly because it would just have been too overwhelming for me to go in there.
yes, yeah. I mean, the parking lot was packed. It was Tuesday or Wednesday after, around 4 o'clock.
Hmm.
I'm like going, this shouldn't be this busy. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not happening.
Yeah. So, what do you recommend, or what works for you when you are in a store like that, or an event, and it just becomes overwhelming for you? Do you leave, or do you try to find yourself a spot to sit there and recalibrate your bubble?
Well, it depends on the circumstances, obviously, because if I can walk away and go to a quiet spot and do a kind of like, okay, I'm releasing, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes you have to do it on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm, going to put my bubble. I'm walking away. I'm releasing everybody's emotions. But it's really kind of, how do I say this? I guess I'm just used to knowing what to do at the time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just release when I realize what's going on. Sometimes if you're in a, like, The other day I was in Ingles, which is a local grocery store where I live, and I went to find the public restroom and just went in the stall. Just kind of like, okay, because it was before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
It was chaotic, and I was stopping after work, so I still had the after work stuff, because usually I wait till I get home to release that, or try to on the ride home, but I still had that stuff going on, and it was just like, okay, I'm gonna go in the bathroom stall and just kind of, all right, and do my thing, my releasing and asking spirit and our guides and angels to surround me and keep
Mm-hmm.
the emotions away. Sometimes if you're on the fly and you just don't feel like you can properly release because you've not developed that yet, or you just don't feel comfortable with it, ask for angels to come down and take care of it for you.
Yeah.
I think that is very important. And you were talking about how, sometimes you get these psychic hits. It's clairsentient, it's a big thing, but it's also clairvoyant. If you're clairvoyant and you're out and about and you start getting these images, and you really need to try to close off your abilities before you go into a chaotic spot like that, because you're getting psychic hits left and right now. You're getting pictures,
Right.
and you're like, I don't know where these pictures belong. And that might be another sign that you're not grounded,
Mm-hmm. Right.
because you're getting all these hits and you're in a public place. So I would really recommend, practice really putting extra thought on grounding or mindfulness. It's chaotic. Things are going crazy. What can you find in your environment that is going to calm you and bring you back? Whether you may want to go find the Christmas, or not Christmas aisle, but some aisle that's got something in it that you enjoy,
Right.
to look at that. Or you pull off to get your cart off out of the way and open up your phone and look at something that's calming for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that also is helpful in trying to release everything. But, like the hits I got the other day were all clairvoyant hits.
Ah.
And then I had my clairaudient hit. With my clairvoyant hit, I did get words, but it was mainly I was seeing pictures, and they made no sense to me. But like we talked about before, you just kind of, it's not supposed to make sense to you, so don't try to interpret it. But this is what I saw.
Yeah.
Don't know what it means. This is what I saw, and then I was told, well, I know what that means, and they told me what it meant, and I'm like, okay, and then this is what I got. I'm seeing this now. I don't know why. This is what it means. I mean, and that particular one, I was spot on everything. Which again, remember, you can't be 100% spot on all the time.
Right.
So especially this time of year, you need to cut yourself some slack on that. Because if you happen to get a psychic reading and it wasn't 100% accurate, remember, it's not always going to be 100% accurate, and that you have outside influences that are affecting your abilities because of the chaotic energy that's around people right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And again, this is kind of part of self-care, giving yourself some slack, give yourself a break.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, because and this time of year, ego likes to show up a lot. You have competitive people buying gifts.
Oh, yes.
You've got the competitive people that, go all out for the holidays, and that's great. If that's your thing, that's wonderful. But you do have people that are kind of like in your face with it. Look at what I have. Look what I did. This is my house. Look, and that's cool. That's cool. But some people get, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna do one better, and then you've got that whole ego up there, and you don't realize that ego's taking the wheel when it's driving, and that's going to affect your psychic abilities, affect your groundingness, affect you when you're out shopping. Things are going to bother you more
Mm-hmm.
in that kind of situation.
Right. I had started having this happen on Black Friday. Towards the end, that's how I knew Bubble was losing its effect, because I would be shopping in the store. My husband would be off somewhere else looking for whatever. And every once in a while, I would get a Kim right in my ear. And
Yeah,
I'd turn around and look to see.
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, it's like, what? And look, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's nobody there. And here I am going, what? And looking like a fool in front of the store. So then you start thinking, oh, who said that? And you don't know anybody. And then you move along a little bit more and it may be on the other side and go, hey, Kim. It's like, what? Oh no, not again. Okay, it's time to go put my bubble back up again. I can't do this here in this store. So stop, but I've had that happen and that's how I know that it's time
It's
to,
time.
yeah.
Yeah. And you have to watch for those signs. It's very important
Mm-hmm.
because the holiday season is what you make of it. If you're around, you have some toxic people, this is a perfect time to maybe start using those boundaries and limit contact with those type of people that do not have the same vibration that you have.
True. And they also live with the ego all the time. So when you start feeling that, it begins to overwhelm you and break you down when
Right.
especially if you're in constant contact with that person for an extended period of time for the holidays or whatever the encounter may be. It
And
really does start chipping away and you start feeding into the ego, like you said.
yes, yep. I encountered a situation with someone who I thought was a friend, but they are just have the personality of stirring stuff up all the time because they feel so bad about themselves
Mm-hmm.
that they just can't help themselves or don't want to help themselves to get better, and they just want to make other people miserable by turning people against someone,
Yeah.
and they take turns on who they do this with. And if I got sucked in at first, because I was going through a
Mm-hmm.
very stressful period of my life when mom was sick. And it was so easy to get, sucked into that. And, when I finally saw the situation, boundaries went up big time.
Mm-hmm.
Boundary doesn't mean you cut someone out of your life because some people you cannot do that to. But a boundary means I'm limiting how much of me you're going to get.
Right.
Which this time of year, you may have to limit some family interactions. And it's okay if it's for your sanity, so to speak, and your psychic
Yeah.
protection.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think
Well, for your better self,
yes.
for your better self, because they can draw you way down and wipe out all the hard work that you've done for yourself in
Because,
an instant.
yeah, and your vibration, you don't realize is lowering and lowering, and it makes it harder for you to hear spirit and communicate with your
Mm-hmm.
guides because your vibrations is going down.
Right.
And then I sit back and I'm like, how did I not see this? Because there's really no excuse. I should have been more in tune, but life happens. You've got going. You're doing life, and sometimes it's hard, and or you're tired, or you wore out, and it's easy to get sucked into those type of things. That's why narcissists love empaths.
You're right with the narcissist. Oh yeah, they're just looking for those empaths to come around so they can manipulate them and feed off their energy.
Exactly. So it's very easy for that to happen in a normal situation. But now let's sprinkle in holiday stress, holiday shopping, things that people do this time of year that really add more stress to themselves. And,
Mm,
and that makes it worse.
right. Definitely.
So your psychic protection and your grounding yourself, meditating. If the weather's great, get outside, enjoy nature. If it's cold, take a drive through
Mm-hmm.
a park or here just driving anywhere. I got the mountains all around, and that can be very soothing. And so you have to really think about what works best for you this time of year. But the other night went to a brewery slash restaurant for dinner, and it was on a main street, very busy. They have a lot of shops. So if I had to say this is the closest thing to Hallmark Land, this main street is it. It's it has to look, but walked in and it was packed. People were waiting for tables. It was very chaotic. And I was enjoying the person that I was with company, and I had to basically, because we had, either wait for a long time or there were 2 seats available at the bar. So we took the 2 seats available at the bar because we didn't want to wait a long time and we wanted to at least have an enjoyable meal. So we take the 2 seats at the bar, and then the chaotic of the people next to me. I had to put almost like a curtain, visualize a curtain to come down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, don't talk to me, don't talk to me, don't talk to me, just, and then the people on the other side left, and one man sat down, and so there was an empty seat on one side of the person I'm with, and then chaoticness. Well, the people on the other side leave, and three people come up, and then now it's like, can you move down one? So now we have to move down, and it was just like, oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
So it was very chaotic, so because my back is to the restaurant where all mayhem is going on,
Mm-hmm.
so which was good because I'm looking forward and not seeing it. I'm feeling it, but it's not, to me, not seeing it is easier than facing it and seeing it.
That's interesting because I'm surprised you were okay with that. I have a problem with sitting at a bar with my back to people because it's all reflecting out of the mirror too.
But there was no mirror.
Oh,
It was a
really?
L-shaped bar, so there was no mirror. Yeah,
Oh,
I wasn't
interesting.
sitting anywhere with. I had a good shot of where the food was coming out.
Ah,
So,
okay, gotcha. Because I can't
yeah.
sit at a bar if the mirror's there because it's like a double whammy. You know what I mean? Get it from
Well,
behind and it's
and
reflecting off the mirror and coming back at you.
mirrors can be a portal as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in a bar setting, you do have lots of different energy levels.
Oh, so much.
Which, yes. But see, the person I was with basically was shielding my left side. I didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so looking forward, I was seeing everybody else that's lining the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the bartenders who were really working hard to keep up with everything. And then the chaos behind me, which, and beside me. So I had to basically focus on conversations with who I was with
Mm-hmm.
to deflect emotions and feelings I was picking up. So that's how, in that situation, I handled it. Had my little curtain, like don't talk to me kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So in that situation, it was very, very chaotic. And if I was not prepared going in, it could have been very overwhelming. And if I had not been grounded,
Right.
but don't get me wrong, it was a little overwhelming. I'm not saying, I'm not saying I'm Superman. I was like, oh, I'm coming in with my bubble and you're not going to get me. There were moments when it was like, okay, especially when someone new sat down
Oh, sure. Sure.
to my right. I was like, oh, okay, wasn't ready for you yet,
So, do you find it difficult to do that directional curtain type thing when you're in a place to where the person you're with or the people you with don't feel it or you're not having it apply to them? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I
Well,
don't know if I have to extend the bubble out just to include them, to encompass them as well, so that they don't feel or because sometimes I think I'm affecting our conversation because I'm trying to keep everything else out and focus on us, but yet I don't know that I'm including them in my protection. Is that what I should be doing or not? Because sometimes I think it does affect the conversation I'm having with or the interaction I'm having with the person that I'm with.
I see what you're saying. What I do is like instead of the bubble, I did a curtain.
Right.
So curtains you can set up in place to drop down, and I visualize it dropping down like on a stage.
Mm-hmm.
Katrina
Mm-hmm.
would be so proud. It was, and I visualize a red velvet curtain dropping down because to me that's thick, it's
Yes.
heavy.
Uh-huh.
So I could visualize the curtain and dropping. And again, this takes practice with mindfulness and meditation. And that see, a bubble's going to completely surround me. The
Right.
curtain I was blocking off. So it was not blocking off the person next to me
Mm-hmm.
because I did not want to affect that conversation and us enjoying a good time, having good food and just relaxing,
Right.
on a Friday night. So I did not want to interfere with that at all. So that's why I didn't do a bubble. I did a curtain.
Mm-hmm.
So you can figure out, what's the easiest for you to manifest or you to visualize, because, if you're clairvoyant, it's so much easier to visualize stuff.
Right. Right.
like seeing a curtain drop. But if you're not, if you haven't exercised that muscle, then you may have to imagine it happened. Like, okay, it's rolling down, rolling down, rolling down. You don't necessarily have to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Curtains lowering, and now it's done. I mean, even doing that
Right.
is a way to do it in your mind. I mean, don't just say it out loud. I got a curtain coming down on you, sister. It's just unless you've had a little too much, and that might be fun.
That's
But
right.
I don't recommend that. But you could just visualize, okay, I'm lowering a curtain or a wall, whatever it works best for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, shopping, I always recommend a bubble.
Right.
But in a social setting, a curtain or whatever type of thing that doesn't surround you completely, like a wall, a curtain, not a window. If it's bad energy, a mirror that's facing the opposite direction of you
Yeah.
to bounce anything back.
Yeah.
Depending on what kind of energy that you're surrounded with. But so I think maybe I took the long answer for that question, Kim. But I think that would be maybe a better thing to try, is lowering a curtain, around you. Like I only needed a curtain beside me and behind me.
Okay.
I didn't need it in front of me.
Right.
Because I wanted them to take my order. And I wanted to have a fun evening where a lot of times bartenders are hilarious. They're a lot of fun. So, I didn't want it to affect our time. I wanted it to be a good time.
Yeah.
Now they have, at this place, have a lower bar, and we went to the lower bar after dinner just to get a beer. And the energy was that we weren't there long. Now in that situation, a bubble was needed.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it was dark.
Oh.
And yeah, even though the walls were dark brown, everything was dark, but there was also dark. Like the dark.
Right. Yeah. No,
It wasn't. It was not as chaotic as the restaurant part was upstairs where the other bar was. But this was kind of we're not going to be here long, kind of, because I just and it wore me out upstairs with the curtain and everything, and trying to maintain being grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was exhausted by the time I left there. But it was that, you have to be aware of that when you go out too, that there is darkness that's going to be out a lot this time of year because you're so wore out, you're so tired, you're overdoing things.
Yeah, and let's face it, people have dark things attached to them. Not every person, but there are people out there that have dark attached to them. So you're
Yeah,
going to pick up on that, especially when you're tired.
right. And as an empath, and you're a tired empath or an ungrounded empath, and you're in a social setting, now you're going to get random people walking up to you and giving you their life story.
Yeah, that too.
Yes, I did a Christmas bazaar last week, and I had people on both sides of me. Were very, very nice people, but had a lot going on in their lives. And at a craft show or a bazaar, you can't leave. You've got to mind your tables or booth, and they're minding their tables and booths, and so they're just wandering right on over.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, and then you've had the energy of everybody coming through the bazaar. They brought children from the grade schools through, and that was a different kind of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a little okay. Kim got a couple phone calls.
Yes, I did.
You got a lot of text messages, but that was one way of me reaching out to her, and she did that to me on Black Friday. She reached out to me when her bubble was getting low, and I sent something back,
Mm-hmm.
with energy to help.
Right.
So it was kind of like, okay, Kim, this is what's going on here. And one day was really weird. It was like the ghost of Christmas past was at my tables.
You have that happen a lot, though.
I know.
The ghost of Christmas past visits you throughout the years.
Yes. And I'm assuming that, I mean, I took it as, because I'm going to tell you something. Remember on the episode we talked about the difference between a soulmate
And the twin
and a
flame.
twin flame.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, my twin flame experience was not good, and he evidently had other women in his life too that he was keeping a secret, and I had every one of them stop at my table.
Yep.
After he stopped at my table with his daughter, and I was just kind of like, oh my gosh, what the heck is going on here? It was like, and so I think that was in essence a cord cutting of its own, which of course we're going to discuss cord cutting next episode. But I think that was some way of severing, because when he showed up at my table with his daughter, there was no energy passing between us and didn't stay long.
Well, I had a theory on that. I think you did your
Okay.
cord cutting, which we'll get into this, like you said, next week. But I believe your cord cutting happened before, and this
Yes.
was the confirmation or reaffirming to you that you did the right thing.
Yes.
And this is why, this is why, this is why,
Yeah. Yes, like all these women come up in my booth. And one was not very nice. Just didn't come to the booth, but just stood there and glared. And I'm like, okay, I did nothing to you. It's like, you need to blame. And she's still with the guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, honey, don't be blaming the women that don't know about you. So I was just kind of like,
yeah.
And then the other one came in. She was so sweet, and she bought items, and and I'm just like, okay, well, Lisa, okay, it was interesting to say the least.
Yeah, I think that was a reaffirmation to you that you did the right thing, that
Yes.
choices were made, cords were cut,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and here's why. See, this all could be you if you did not cut that
Yes.
cord.
And I'm in a much happier place in my life to, where I'm at. So it was kind of like, okay, but as a psychic, we're looking for signs in everything that happens in everyday life, and not all of them are signs.
True.
But we're constantly going, oh, is this a sign? And I'll be like talking to Kim, like, and I'm trying to hint around, what do you think? Is this a sign? Do you think it was a psychic thing? It's kind of like, and then I usually get, no, it wasn't, or yes, it was.
Yeah, sometimes it's just life.
Yeah, sometimes it's just stuff happening. So it's not everything is from spirit. Sometimes you have to ask. Not everybody that comes into your life is a lesson.
True.
They're just someone who came into your life, and whether they stay or go, who knows? So sometimes we get all wrapped up in that. And I do it myself.
Mhm.
Kim knows that. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, like this morning, I had a real pretty. It's called a Carolina wren, and they're more a tiny little wren bird, and they are more of they like to stay in the shrubs, and they nest it towards the ground. And it was looking in my window. I'm like, oh, Kim, was that a sign? No, he's probably looking at his reflection in the window, but. Because, that's why birds fly into windows. They see a reflection, and sometimes you'll have a bird pecking at a window because they're or your car mirror because they're trying to fight the bird that they're seeing, which happens to be themselves.
Exactly. Yep.
Which is a good analogy for twin flames.
Yep.
You're fighting yourself. It was very chaotic, and I had to, sometimes reach out for a little help from Kim just to kind of go, okay, this is what's going on right now.
Yeah. Well, I do the same thing with you. I'll say, should I be paying attention to this or not? Kind of thing.
Right. And I think that if you're in a busy store and you're not used to grounding on the fly, reach out to someone. I think is perfect, like what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
If they're a member of your tribe, that's the person you want to call, because if they're not in the same chaotic situation, you're going to pick up some of their energy, which can be nice and calming.
Right.
Or they can send you energy to help you be grounded and to release.
Yeah.
So this is another opportunity. If you're not sure if you can ground yourself in a busy shopping situation, you can reach out to someone who knows you're psychic and is psychic themselves. Because, I believe everybody has abilities.
Mm-hmm.
It's just personal beliefs that keep you from identifying them, which is really sad because we run into people all the time, especially since the podcast, since we started the podcast, that didn't know they were empaths. They didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
And then when they started to learn, then it was like, oh my gosh, I've lived this way for years and, had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
And it's liberating. You get excited because now you can put a name to it. So if you're brand new, you need to reach out to someone and just say, hey, this is what's going on. I'm a little stressed out. And sometimes being on the phone and just talking to someone is you're being mindful now to the conversation you're having on the phone. So you're no longer focused on the chaos that's going on around you.
Yeah, true.
So many times I go into the grocery store with Kim on the phone with me.
Yes, you do.
And it's like, okay, I got to check out now. Bye.
Yep. The one thing that I don't recall if we discussed while being mindful and putting up your boundaries and stuff is to be certain to call back your energy when
Oh,
you're
yes.
done doing these things, because you're leaving your energy and stuff everywhere you've
Well,
been,
and people
and with those people
and
that
people are
pick it up.
taking,
Exactly, that's
yeah,
where I was going. People are taking
yeah,
that energy with them. Be
they're taking
certain
it.
be
Yeah,
certain to call it back, and call it back
yeah.
with white light, and make it positive energy coming back to you. Make certain it's positively charged. Well, that's what I do, is when I'm calling it back, to please bring all my energy back to me through a white light, so that it's positive and pure energy coming back to me, that it's not been tainted by anything, because I'm always afraid things are going to get tainted and I'm going to be taking it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. Well, we've all had that times where we've had that, ooh, get that off me.
Yes.
Ooh, get
Mm-hmm.
off
Mm-hmm.
experiences,
Right.
where, you're not grounded or you're distracted and somebody walks up and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
We've had those, and it's very important what you're saying is you do need to always call your energy back. And I do it, have it called, bring it back renewed.
Mm-hmm.
And I visualize the light because it does have to go through a process. You don't want it to come back all tainted, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And another, we talked about in the Empath series on how your aura gets holes in it
Mm-hmm.
from these type of situations and circumstances. So calling your energy back, Kim, is a great one. I don't know why we're towards the end of the podcast that came up, but it's very important to do that, and I do it nightly.
Uh-huh.
Because you interact with people all the time, but actually, leaving a busy shopping experience or a Christmas party or work, you should always be calling your energy back, because you're encountering vampires that love energy. You're encountering people that are sad and don't enjoy the holiday season and are lonely, and they're picking up what you're laying down, because that energy feels good to them. It makes them feel good for a moment,
Right.
but it's making your aura a little thin, and where it's very important, again, like I talked about earlier, the psychic baths, the releasing, the meditation, calling your energy back. All of this is very important
Yeah.
to just maintaining a healthy holiday season for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not selfishness.
Mm-mm. No.
It's, because if you can't give to anybody else if you're running on empty.
Right.
And it's so easy to hit that psychic brick wall, and then you're no good to anybody, especially yourself.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with, okay, well, I'm just going to close myself into the bathroom and take a long bath with
Mm-hmm.
some essential oils, or take a long shower and put a little essential oil in there, a little frankincense or lavender, to soothe and relax and release everything, and just let that go into the water and go down the drain and be gone. That could take 15 minutes to an hour, depending on how much you enjoy the bath,
Yeah.
you know, you know.
Yeah.
But that is very important. Going out and taking, an hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
It's busy this time of year, but after that hour drive, you've released everything. How do you feel?
That's where I was going to go, is with me, I'm releasing everything first. And then I take my time and call mine back and just say, just come on back. Because I can sit in my kitchen and look out the back window and see nothing but wildlife and nature. And that's where I'm doing mine. If it's too cold to
Hmm.
go outside, I'm out there earthing it, releasing it that way.
Right.
Sending it back out to nature and just bring my stuff on back.
Yeah, I mean, and it's nothing wrong. You can get yourself a cup of hot tea, hot cocoa, coffee, whatever your thing is, Diet Coke, whatever your thing is, and just give that time for you.
Mm-hmm.
You like sitting out, sitting at the table. I mean, you've got pasture to look at and the deer and everything coming through. Where I live, I'm in the mountains. To me, that's the most soothing place for me. I
Mm-hmm.
could, if it's nice, I can go outside,
Right.
but just driving someplace is nice too. Or I'm just going to close the bathroom door, not talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very important when you do these self-cares to leave the phone outside where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to go take a psychic bath, you don't need your phone in there pinging or getting calls or text messages when you're trying to do self-care.
Right.
You have a boundary you're going to set. If there's others in the house you live in,
Mm-hmm.
I need to go take a bath and have some me time. No one can talk to me till I come back out.
Right.
So no knocking on the door. If you need the bathroom now, now's your time.
Mm-hmm.
And I recommend when you are going to do this type of psychic cleansing, smudge the room before you do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to take a bath, smudge it. Doesn't take long to smudge a bathroom.
Well, no.
Yeah. I mean, you're outside grounding. Obviously, you don't need to do any cleansing. But if you're going to be like, I'm going to go in my room and I'm going to meditate and nobody bother me,
Mm-hmm.
I light incense.
Right.
And of course, my firefighter brother-in-law thought I had the house on fire one day. My cone incense burner was really smoking that day, and
It was
he's
smoking.
ready. But what does that tell you?
There was a lot of energy there.
Yes, and it was doing its job.
Doing its job.
And it was funny during Thanksgiving. Julie and her husband was here with us, and my brother-in-law came by and goes, "Are you burning incense in your room, or do we have a fire?" I'm like, it's incense, and yeah, I'm burning it, and I'm leaving it. It's going because I wanted the room ready when I came in.
Yeah. Right.
When I came back to my room, I wanted to be able to close the door, and it was already cleansed and smudged. And and that's another thing that you could do when you just are stressing out is just burn incense
Mm-hmm.
and just sit quietly, or relaxing music or music that you use to raise your vibration. Put on headphones.
Yeah.
And just, I like to put my earbuds in and just listen to music.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something you could do in a shopping experience as well if it's getting overwhelming, is put your earbuds in and start listening to whatever calming music helps you with your grounding.
Yeah. I have a problem with the earbuds in the ear while shopping because I am not a trusting person.
Wow.
I'm just saying, I just very conscious of my surroundings, so I don't do the earbuds in.
But I'm talking about in a situation where you feel you need grounding.
Mm,
I mean, you don't have to leave them in the entire shopping experience.
yeah,
And
true.
I'm not recommending that you're distracted as you're leaving a store.
Yeah.
But I think that if you need some grounding because of the chaotic energy. I think if you go to find a quiet aisle and see Kim in the Depends,
Mm-hmm.
put your earbuds in and just take a couple deep breaths and listen to whatever meditative music you have on your phone. I think that would help with the experience.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I don't listen. What I do is I just use the phone itself and put on the music and just listen through one ear and focus on it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's
Yeah, but
that way
you're
first.
still doing the exercise.
I'm still doing the exercise, but I'm still conscious of what's happening
Yeah.
around me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that puts my mind at ease to be able to relax, to help put my bubble back up.
Yeah. So, I mean, so that's something easy you could do when you're out and about,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and it's getting overwhelming, so I think that's very important. But like I said, if you're going to go do time where you're just going to take care of you. You've set your boundaries. Don't bother me. I need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to leave your phone in a different room.
Unless that's where you're getting your music from to relax you.
Yes. Then you need to turn notifications off, but you don't need to be holding your phone.
Correct.
This would be a good time to have an earbud. Now, I don't like my earbuds in the bathroom because I just know
Plop, plop.
it's going to be like Kim's pocketbook.
Yep.
And we all know I'm not going in after it.
That's right.
So whatever you use, but try to keep the distraction of life from happening. Silence your notifications on your phone while you're doing it.
Yep.
That way you can still have the music and you're not getting the constant barrage of, this person's texting, this person's calling, this person's social media, and you're blowing up because now all these things are coming up to there.
Right.
So you need to be mindful. You need to set time for yourself. And I recommend every day setting some time for yourself, because this is the time of year where you get out of practice of meditating. You get out of practice of spending the time alone that is necessary because life's getting busy.
Right.
And so it's very important as empaths that we are rejuvenating ourselves. And if you're waking up and you're just exhausted, or you're getting just exhausted throughout the day, guess what? You have picked up so much baggage and you've not released it.
Mm-hmm.
You've not called your energy back, and you've not given yourself any self-care.
Right. Yeah, and you're stuck in that ego thought as well. I mean, that's whenever I find I get the most exhaustion during the day, because I'm not around a lot of people usually throughout the day and stuff like that. But if I'm starting to get exhausted in midday, and it's not because of something I've eaten that makes me tired,
Yeah.
I reflect on, what was I just thinking about? And it's always an ego thought. And I'm like, oh, okay. I get what's happening here. We need to change that.
Yeah, and if you find yourself getting judgmental.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. You're getting judgmental. You're judging people now. You're in Walmart. You're going, oh my gosh, look what they're wearing. Okay, it's Walmart. They're going to be wearing their jammies. But that's a good sign that ego has taken over, pushing the shopping cart around, and you're not grounded because ego has taken over, and you're going to get very overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know, Kim and I just thought this was an important episode to kind of, we didn't want to go back and go all over what an empath was, because, we have episodes to listen to on that. And empaths were one of the most listened to episodes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I found it interesting when Kim told me that the Hayoki was the most listened to. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that was the most listened to. Yep, by far.
Yeah, and because I didn't think a lot of people knew what the Hayoki was. But
I think there's been a lot of talk about that. When you've started your journey and you're doing research, has been coming up more often, along with the dark empath, that has become more recognized by people, and they want to do the research on it. So I think when they do a search using a search engine, that's why the Hayoki is coming up, because people are more interested in it.
Yeah. You totally went left brain, didn't you?
I did. I have to do it at least once an episode.
I know. Good job.
Or it wouldn't be me.
That's true. Just like me taking a long time to answer a question. Yeah. I got there eventually.
Yeah, you always do.
Never want to ask me, don't ever ask me for directions. Don't recommend it. Use Google or your map app on your phone. Don't ask Carrie.
Oh, that's funny.
So, Kim, do you have anything else you want to add to this?
No, I think that covered everything that popped into my head that we needed to bring out. So, yeah, I think we're good.
Great. All right. Okay, perfect. Well, then I guess this is going to wrap up this episode of Psychic Bent. Don't forget to like us and follow us on all of the platforms for the podcast. And you could reach us at psychicbent1@gmail.com.
Very good.
Yay! And on Facebook at Psychic Bent Podcast.
And don't forget to share the episodes, share the podcast with people you know that you think might benefit from listening to our podcast.
Yes, absolutely. Very important. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Bye. May your light shine bright. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, Psychic Bent. If you enjoyed Psychic Bent, please like, follow, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to Psychic Bent. We can be reached on Facebook at Psychic Bent Podcast. Our email address is psychicbent1@gmail.com. May your light shine bright.